Grandma here, and this is Kaleidoscope. I discovered an accidental feature of MakeCode Arcade that creates that enabled me to create these wonderful patterns in a very easy way. And it's obvious, I think, why it's called Kaleidoscope, because it reminds me of the kaleidoscopes that I was fascinated with as a child that did a very similar thing in changing through assorted colorful patterns as you rotated the device. Okay, Kaleidoscope. Well, the purpose of this video is to show you how to use Kaleidoscope. The next video will discuss the code. When Kaleidoscope is in this mode, it's called the cycling mode. So notice that when Kaleidoscope starts, so I'm gonna reset it, it starts in the pattern cycling mode. If you want to pause the pattern, you just click A, short press, and then every time you click B, the pattern will advance one pattern. Now notice these colors at the bottom. This is called the palette. And every time the palette is completed, Kaleidoscope selects a new palette randomly from its set of colors. Then it starts with two colors and then adds colors to the palette, and you'll notice them added on the left, until it has all the colors in that palette. Now the number of colors used must be, this is kind of complicated, but the number of colors in a palette will be a factor of the number of points on the perimeter of the pattern. This is so that the pattern will end with the ending color and begin with the beginning color, so it comes out even, so to speak. Another thing to notice is that these white lines here on the edge, that's 1 pixel wide that's actually not used in the pattern. Now why is that? Well, if you have an odd number of pixels in each side of the palette, then you can have an exact center pixel of the pattern. If you have an even number of pixels, that's not possible. Go figure that out for yourself. So now if you want, we advance like that. Notice we're going to go through the entire palette, and I think that's the last one. Yep, then we'll start with another one. Now if you want to continue cycling, you just press B and hold it. Now we're cycling again. Now, if we pause we can pause the pattern simply by pressing A. Now now we're in what's called the pattern paused mode. And the one reason I pause a pattern is that I want to capture the screen so that I can save the pattern and contemplate it at a later time. I've even made some of these into very beautiful art. So in order to, but when I do that, I want to not have this palette display at the bottom. So in pause mode, if I do a quick click on A, it disappears. And of course, if I step again, it will come back and disappear if I do a quick click of A. So now, let's suppose we're just cycling. And I say to myself, I'd like to change some of the parameters of this display. I would like it to be square, not fill the almost whole screen. Or I would like to have it be taller than it is wide. Or I would like, just pick me some random ones and don't worry about it. I want to see random size patterns. Well, the way you do that, select all those parameters, is to hold down A. Now it's going to ask me a series of questions. Do I want to pause after each line? Well, let's just try that. So you click A if you want to. Then it will ask you the next question. Now I'm going to just click B through these because I don't want to change any of the other defaults. Now it's going to draw the pattern one line at a time. Now why in the world would you want to do that? Because it's going to take forever. Well, that's clear. I want to see how the pattern is constructed. And notice it's constructed because the lines, which are drawn from the center here out to the edge, the lines are pixelated. That is, they can't be an exact straight line because the entire line has to be constructed of pixels. And in fact, a line is, if you take the theoretical line from the center out to the point on the perimeter, then the nearest pixel to the theoretical line will be used as a part of the line. What happens then is that some of the pixels are actually used in one line and then the same pixel is used in the next line because that same pixel was the closest to both theoretical lines. Okay, I'm kind of tired of that, so let's start over. Odie, that's my pug. He has some commentary on what's going on. Let's hope he stops. Okay, so now let's look at another setting. We'll skip the pause after the line. Just hit B to skip something. And let's change the pattern wait time. Well, what is the pattern wait time? Well, the pattern wait time is the amount of time that Kaleidoscope waits between patterns. Now, why would you do that? Well, you do that because you want to contemplate the pattern a bit in order to know whether or not you want to stop it and probably take a screenshot. Okay, let's change the pattern wait. So I'm going to change it. So now what do I change it to? Between 100 milliseconds to 10,000 milliseconds. Or that's 100 milliseconds to 10 seconds. Well, I actually like, if I'm going to do contemplation, I like about 3 seconds. So that's 3,000 milliseconds. And so now I want to click through the other questions because I want to only use that one feature. Now notice between each pattern, I have my hands off, between each pattern, one pattern after the other, it's waiting 3 seconds. Oh, I like that one. So that would enable me to click A on a pattern I particularly like. I'm not loving this because the colors are kind of all too dark. Okay, there, I kind of like that one. So if I click A, it will hang there and I can get rid of the palette display and then I can take a wonderful screen capture. That's what change pattern wait does. Okay, let's start over. And this time, let's change something else. We're not going to change the pause after line. We won't change the pattern wait time. How about having a random width and height? I like this one, so bang. Now notice it didn't ask me any of the questions because at that point it had all it needed to know. Now this is really fun because it's picking a random width and a random height and making the pattern. Notice that some of the patterns, they're not square. Some are longer than they are wide. And I found this part very fun. So now let's try another feature. We're not going to pause. We're not going to change the wait time. We're not going to have a random width and height. Do we want it to be square? Sure, be square. Do I want to change the side of the square? Sure. Okay, let's take a square of about 77. That's pixels, of course. There it is, a square of 77 pixels. Nice. Now, had I chose 76, the program would have just added 1 to the number to make it 77. Because remember, I told you that all the sides must be odd numbers in order to have an exact center. And speaking of centers, this is a good time to show you what these arrow buttons do. Let's suppose I wanted to look at a pattern that had the center, the origin not exactly at the center. There, it's at the origin is about right here. Now that's a whole different effect. Kind of cool. That's the only thing the arrow keys do. And it only really works with press and hold the arrow key. It does not work if you just single press it. Okay, enough of that. Let's reset and try another feature. Hard press A. We're not going to pause after a line. We're not going to change the weight. We're not going to have random width and height. It's not going to be square. Do we want to change the width? Sure, let's change the width. We'll have the width be 33. I won't change the height. There it is. We have a 33 pixel wide pattern. Okay. Similarly, I could, let's flip. Ooh, that's a nice one, isn't it? I like that. We're not going to do that. Not going to change the pattern weight. Not going to do that. We're not going to have a square. We're not going to change the width. But sure, we'll change the height. Okay, we'll have one that's 33. And so there, those are the features you can change. These are all described in our blog at MakeCode.com. That's Kaleidoscope. I have been playing with this thing for really several months, and the challenge was to get the human interface exactly, the player interface exactly what I wanted. Like, what features did you want to change, and how did you want to change them? Well, Odie, that's one of my pugs, is giving me a very hard time, so I think it's about time for me to stop. So in our next blog post and YouTube video, we're going to show you the code for Kaleidoscope. And it's actually amazingly simple because of the way MakeCode draws pixelated lines. We are looking forward to seeing you then. Bye.